experience with consensus, and many people in this room have. So my friendly amendment to a proposal that we adopt consensus and see how it goes is that in any committee meeting or in any group that the facilitator call for a show of hands of people who've had experience with consensus so they can help with those problems that come up. We're not reinventing the wheel. Also, I also got in line because the most organic, inclusive training I've ever been to around street protests was with Starhawk. And so if anybody wants to talk to me about trying to get her to come up here, or somebody with her style, it's like walking outside of our culture to go to one of her trainings. It will include everybody, and that's part of our problem. We're sitting here voting. Okay, how much do we have to have to be inclusive? She can show you how to include everybody. Okay, apologize. Thank you. So talk to me about that later. And my friendly amendment that people who have experience identify themselves and make them in here.
So there's still a proposal with friendly amendment. Is everybody okay? Okay. And I do want to move things along. I'm going to test for consensus again. With the proposal to, as it was stated, to have try for full consensus, to make a concerted effort to hear and to take in the points of view of the people who are perhaps not in consensus, and if all else fails, to move to a 90% consensus-based group. With everyone who's got experience with the process raising their hand kind of at the beginning in all of the committee meetings. Does anybody stand aside from that at this point?
Yeah, I don't like that.
And this one? Okay, what's your stand aside?
I think anybody can sabotage it. You can get 3 people from Wall Street to come here, or 10 people, and they can destroy the whole thing.
Well, we're going to test for consensus, and if we're not at consensus, then we'll move to a 90% consensus. We'll try to get full consensus first. If it doesn't work, we're going to go for the 90%.
For each proposal?
For each proposal.
I like that.
Point across that. No? Is there a point across that? Okay, so there's one stand aside still. Is there anybody who needs to block this proposal? Okay. I think we're at consensus.
Yeah.
Now that we have consensus as a process and without any discussion, may I have your permission to continue co-facilitating this meeting with Desdemona?
Okay, I'm Des. Oh, sorry.
Point of process. We have brought consensus to the agenda.
Oh, let's vote.
I want to say, I am a partial library sort of old man here, and I was actually prevented from when we were expressing general concerns why we were here. I would like the chance for those who have general concerns, like myself, to address it before we get into the nitty-gritty of the committees and all that. I know I at least was excluded from that.
What do you general concerns in what sense?
Yeah, so, and to be honest, I mean, it was probably me. And first off, I want to apologize for that, you know. Our first General Assembly meeting was 30 people. It was pretty easy to hear everyone, we had plenty of time. It wasn't pouring down rain. And the second meeting, you know, I truly realized that I wasn't organized enough for this consensus process, which is, you know, why we have consensus, people who have experience with the consensus. So I just wanted to say that it's not going to happen again, and whatever, this is also a proposed agenda, this is not any kind of official agenda, and I just wanted to speak to that point. I apologize, this isn't about one person in this movement. This wouldn't exist if we didn't have the diversity that we have right here, right now, and I just wanted to speak to that, so.
Can I have my minute?
Does anybody have an issue with allowing just a minute to speak your general concern? Even though it's not really on the agenda. What I don't want to have is to have a large group discussion where everybody shares their general concern, because truthfully, we need to move beyond that. But because you feel like you were marginalized at that last meeting, I think it's fair, as long as the group doesn't have any serious concerns.
6:15 already.
I understand.
1 minute.
Look, included it in him? Yeah. 1 minute.
Okay, it's real simple. It's about compassion, and it's about compassion for everybody. I want this to succeed, and if we're really going to succeed, it has to come from compassion. That means that we have to recognize that every cub, even the people on Wall Street, what they're doing, somewhere in there, they're coming from the same human needs that each of us has. If somebody is doing something that's hurtful to another, it's because of a deep, unmet need. And I just ask all of us to keep that in our hearts.
May we make this the official agenda?
Okay, I will read it first and then we can do that. So the first one was, of course, welcoming and announcing the day, reading the declaration. And then the second one is what we're doing now with the consensus and asking your permission to allow us to facilitate. The third one is 15-minute committee meetings for updates. And then the fourth one is the committee, whoever has been nominated by their committee group would come up and they would let everybody, the whole group, know what they're doing as a committee and what they've done so far. And the fifth one is decision item number 1. So we're going to have a proposal and then use the consensus process that we just decided on to just make a decision on something. And then the 6th says non-committee updates and announcements. So that's where we're going to fill you in on things that are specific to a committee and allow other people to have a chance to update. And then there's another decision item following that. And at the end, we're going to have time, hopefully, or not, to have the committees reconvene and plan a future meeting for the specific committees or whatever they want to do. And we do have, this time, we have signs where each of the committees can meet, so you'll know where to go and everything, just point of process.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the right thing to use or not, but I've been trying to get involved with the people who are doing CPR, and I don't see it up here, so where? Okay,
we're actually going to have an announcement from the first aid people if this is voted in the number 6, so we'll be able to get that addressed, hopefully.
I'm going to be making that announcement, so yeah, with that.
Oh, okay.
So, can we use this agenda?
Want the Peter here?
What are the procedures?
I just wanted to make sure that people know that these are just proposed committees. I feel like if anyone wants to start their own committee, they can if they have a reason to.
Did everyone hear that? No. She said that these are just proposed committees that we have right here. If anyone wants to form another committee or do something more individually or with a group, you guys can do what you want with this. These are just proposed committees.
So, can we use this agenda?
So yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
So
okay. So then we're going to move on to our third item, and that's what we're going to do. Yes.
Are we going to talk about facilitation?
Well, I sort of asked if I may have permission to continue facilitating this meeting.
Yeah.
And then my hope is that people who have training and who know a little bit about facilitation can come together during the committee breakdown, perhaps, and talk about forming a facilitation committee or a facilitator committee so that we can rotate then in future meetings and have not the same person doing it again and again.
Right. We were asking for people to come forward for that, so And we were just the ones that kind of stepped up for this one, so that's kind of how it went. Okay, so we do have the signs up for the committees, and I realize not everyone